Beneath the cold void of space, a vast alien fleet approaching Earth, poised to crush a world they deemed insignificant. With superior technology and overwhelming firepower, they believed humanity would be no more than a fleeting obstacle. But what they didn't anticipate was the unyielding spirit of the people they underestimated. As the battle unfolded, the aliens quickly realized their arrogance had blinded them to humanity's true strength. Earth's people weren't just fighting for survival. They were fighting to prove that even against impossible odds, they could rise. What began as a desperate defense soon became a counteroffensive of tactical brilliance. In the end, the once unstoppable alien fleet was shattered, leaving the invaders to flee in disgrace. The galaxy would never again see Earth as weak. In the wake of this victory, a new power emerged, one that would make the universe tremble. Humanity had shown the galaxy the true cost of underestimating them. The alien fleet loomed at the edge of human space, an imposing force of cold, mechanical ships that stretched across the stars. The vessels, sleek and metallic, moved as one, an unstoppable symbol of engineered perfection. Their advanced weaponry, glowing with ominous anticipation, suggested a dominance that seemed unchallenged by any force in the galaxy. The commanding officers on the lead vessel's bridge were calm, their voices carrying the arrogance of a race accustomed to victory. They were preparing for what they assumed would be a routine mission, just another sweep through a sector filled with insignificant worlds, no different from countless others they had conquered. Earth, to them, was nothing but a primitive planet, an insignificant speck in the vastness of the galaxy. The human race was viewed as weak, with defenses that were little more than relics from a bygone era. The alien officers dismissed Earth's technological advancements as laughable, their ships and weapons nothing compared to the Empire's might. The alien fleet's arrival was supposed to be the beginning of another easy victory, a brief operation to crush a defenseless world. In their eyes, humanity was no different from the countless other species they had subjugated over the centuries. On the command bridge, the alien commander, a towering figure with scales glinting under the dim lights, looked over the holographic map of human defenses. A smug smile spread across his face as he assessed Earth's position. The human fleet, scattered across the sector, was no match for the overwhelming power of the Empire's ships. The commander could barely contain his satisfaction. He gestured dismissively toward a junior officer, commenting on how easily Earth would fall. They had seen this before, primitive races clinging to outdated technology, relying on ancient relics and desperate resistance. But it was always the same. The Empire's ships were too advanced, too powerful to be defeated. The alien fleet surged forward into human space, weapons primed and ready. The commander's voice was cold, dismissive, giving the order to engage. The fleet was unstoppable, or so they believed. As the battle began, energy beams and missiles from the alien ships shot toward the human fleet, but the human vessels responded in a way that surprised even the most seasoned officers. Instead of scattering in fear, the humans held their ground, their ships moving with surprising precision and coordination. The commander's curiosity was piqued as he watched the human ships evade and intercept their attacks with unnerving accuracy. There was something different about this defense. The commander tried to dismiss his growing sense of unease. The humans might be standing firm, but they would quickly crumble under the Empire's might, just like every other primitive species. Yet, as the battle continued, the human fleet didn't falter. The aliens had expected chaos, panic, and disorder, but the humans were responding with calculated, almost deliberate movements. The commander found it hard to reconcile this level of discipline and strategy with the image of a weak, primitive race. As the battle raged on, more and more reports came in from the alien officers, each one more concerning than the last. Shields were failing on the right flank, and the fleet's formation was beginning to fracture. The human ships were not only evading the alien commander, towering over his officers, watched the unfolding battle with growing disbelief. His fleet, once a symbol of unstoppable power, was being tested in a way he had never imagined. The human ships, though smaller in number, seemed to anticipate every move the alien fleet made. The commander's mind raced as he tried to understand what was happening. The humans were not retreating or running in panic like other civilizations he had crushed before. Instead, they were organized, responding with calculated precision. Their movements were too deliberate to be mere chance. For a moment, the commander allowed himself to feel a flicker of doubt, but he quickly dismissed it. The Empire's technology far outstripped anything the humans could ever possess. Their weapons were far more advanced, their ships more powerful. The aliens had always destroyed their enemies with overwhelming force, and this would be no different. Yet, as the battle continued, it became clear that something was off. The humans were not just surviving, they were systematically dismantling the alien fleet. Every time the alien ships attacked, the humans countered with uncanny accuracy. Their ships were smaller, but their strikes were devastating. The commander could feel the tension building on the bridge as his officers grew more frantic. His pride and confidence were beginning to crack under the pressure of the unexpected resistance. It was as though the humans had somehow predicted the alien fleet's every move. The commander's jaw tightened, his mind trying to find a rational explanation. Could it be that the humans had somehow developed advanced tactics that rivaled the Empire's military strategies? Reports from his officers came in with increasing frequency, each one more dire than the last. Shields failing on the right flank, one officer reported, his voice shaking with fear. The commander's eyes narrowed. This was not supposed to be happening. The human ships, though vastly outnumbered, were exploiting weaknesses in the alien formation with eerie precision. The alien fleet, once unstoppable, was now on the defensive. Their formation was faltering, their attacks failing to land with the same crushing force they had delivered against countless other civilizations. The commander's frustration grew as he observed the battle's changing tide. The alien ships, despite their superior technology, were struggling to land a decisive blow. The human fleet's discipline, tactics, and sheer adaptability were beginning to wear down the once proud fleet. His officers, once so confident, were now reporting losses and scrambling for solutions. The commander realized with growing panic that the humans were not just defending themselves. They were dismantling his fleet piece by piece. The thought was almost unthinkable. How could a species so far behind in technology be so effective? Panic began to spread across the command bridge. The once confident alien officers were now exchanging nervous glances, their voices tinged with fear. The commander stood frozen, his mind racing to understand how things had gone so wrong. It was as though the humans were outthinking them at every turn. Each strike, each counterattack seemed more devastating than the last. Their ships may have been smaller, but they were fighting with a ferocity and precision that defied logic. The alien fleet's superiority in firepower was being overshadowed by the human strategic brilliance. For the first time in his career, the commander found himself facing an enemy that was not simply trying to survive. These humans were calculating, adaptive, and relentless. They weren't just fighting to defend their home. They were fighting to win. The commander's mind reeled as he tried to grasp the full scale of what was happening. The alien fleet, once the terror of the galaxy, was now struggling to keep up with an opponent that had been dismissed as insignificant. As the battle continued, it became increasingly clear that the humans were not only holding their ground, but pushing the alien fleet to the brink of defeat. The commander's frustration gave way to a cold realization. This battle would not be like any he had fought before. The alien fleet, once invincible, was crumbling under the relentless human onslaught, and the commander, for the first time, felt the sting of humiliation. How could this be? How could a species so far behind in technology and power be so devastatingly effective? As the battle raged on, the commander could feel his grip on the situation slipping. The alien fleet, which had been poised for an easy victory, was being overwhelmed by an enemy that, in his mind, should not have stood a chance. The humans, with their seemingly outdated ships and technology, were not just defending. They were fighting with a level of tactical brilliance that left the alien officers scrambling to adapt. Every move the humans made seemed calculated, precise, and devastating, forcing the alien fleet into a defensive posture that they had never experienced before. The commander's initial disbelief was beginning to turn into something more unsettling. He had expected a simple engagement, one where the human ships would scatter under the might of the Empire. Instead, the humans were showing an unexpected unity and coordination, operating in ways that suggested they had studied the alien tactics in advance. There was no panic, no fear, only a disciplined, organized resistance. The alien fleet, vast and powerful, was being outmaneuvered by these seemingly inferior ships. Every report from the officers added to the growing sense of unease. The human fleet was not only avoiding their attacks, but retaliating with such accuracy that it was as if they knew exactly where the weaknesses in the alien formation were. The commander could feel his confidence eroding with each passing minute. His fleet, once feared across the galaxy, was struggling to deal with an adversary that wasn't simply fighting to survive, it was fighting to win. This wasn't a skirmish. It was a battle of wits and strategy, and the humans were proving to be more than a match. The human ships, though outnumbered, were exploiting the alien fleet's flaws with unnerving efficiency. Their counterattacks were swift and devastating, targeting vulnerable points in the alien formation and causing irreparable damage. The commander's mind raced as he tried to find a way to turn the tide. The aliens had always relied on overwhelming force, yet this time, their weapons seemed ineffective against the humans' adaptive tactics. The once impenetrable alien formation was beginning to unravel. As the battle wore on, the commander's frustration deepened. He was used to seeing entire fleets of lesser species crumble before the might of the Empire's ships. But these humans were different. Their ships, though technologically inferior, were far more effective than they had any right to be. The commander's thoughts began to spiral. Were these humans somehow more advanced than he had been led to believe? Or was it simply that their tactics were so far ahead of anything the Empire had anticipated? Reports continued to flood in, each one more urgent than the last. The alien fleet's shields were failing, their weapons proving ineffective against the precision of the human counterattacks. The humans seemed to anticipate every move, every attack, and their counters were swift and deadly. The alien officers, once confident in their superiority, were now scrambling to formulate a new plan. The situation was slipping further and further out of control, and there was little they could do to regain the upper hand. The commander's frustration reached its peak as he watched the human ships exploit another weakness in the alien formation. He had underestimated them, and now it seemed as if every decision he made only played into the hands of the enemy. The battle was no longer just about firepower. It was about intelligence, strategy, and the ability to adapt. The humans had proven that they were not only capable of surviving, they were capable of winning, and they were doing so with a ferocity that the commander had not anticipated. For the first time in his career, the commander found himself in a position of helplessness. His fleet, once a symbol of unmatched power, was now being torn apart by an enemy he had dismissed as insignificant. The alien ships, despite their superior technology, were being outwitted and outmaneuvered by the humans at every turn. It was a realization that struck the commander hard. He was not facing a primitive race, but a species with the cunning and determination to fight back in ways that the Empire had never encountered before. The alien fleet continued to falter under the relentless assault from the human ships. The once proud vessels of the Empire, sleek and powerful, were now buckling under the strain. The commander could feel his frustration mounting with every passing moment as his fleet, once feared across the galaxy, seemed helpless against the human onslaught. His officers were no longer reporting confident assessments. Instead, their voices trembled with panic, as if they knew they were losing something far more valuable than a simple battle. The battle had taken a turn that none of them had anticipated. The alien fleet, with all its advanced technology and superior numbers, was no match for the humans' tactics. It wasn't just that the human ships were elusive or difficult to hit. They were making every shot count. Each counterattack felt like a blow to the core of the alien fleet. The commander's mind raced to find a solution, but every option he considered seemed futile. The humans were exploiting every weakness in their formation, targeting key vulnerabilities, and systematically dismantling the alien fleet. The commander's thoughts began to spiral into a mix of disbelief and anger. How could this be happening? How had humans, a species that had once been nothing more than a curiosity, become such a formidable force? Their ships, despite their obvious technological inferiority, have been able to outthink and outmaneuver the Empire's finest officers and ships. The alien fleet, once the pinnacle of power and sophistication, now seemed outdated and ineffective in comparison. Reports continued to come in, each one confirming the same dire reality. Alien ships were being destroyed, their shields failing one by one under the relentless pressure of the human counterattacks. The once impenetrable alien formations were now shattered, their cohesion slipping away as they tried to regroup. But the humans were not giving them a chance to recover. Every time the aliens tried to organize themselves, the human ships were already there, exploiting the gaps in their defense with terrifying precision. The commander, for the first time in his career, was confronted with the reality that the battle was slipping away from him. His officers were no longer looking to him for direction. Instead, they were looking to each other, their faces filled with the unmistakable signs of panic. It was a moment of true vulnerability for the Empire, one that they had never experienced before. The aliens had always been able to crush their enemies with overwhelming force, but now, their arrogance was being shattered by a species they had deemed too primitive to challenge them. Panic began to spread throughout the command deck. The officers' voices, once filled with confidence and authority, were now edged with fear. "We can't keep up," one of them reported, his voice cracking. "Their counterattacks are too precise." The commander's chest tightened as he realized the full extent of the situation. The battle was no longer a contest of firepower. It had become a battle of minds, and the humans were winning. They had read the Empire's tactics, and now they were using that knowledge to their advantage. As the battle continued, the commander's frustration turned to helpless rage. The once proud alien fleet, with all its might, was being picked apart by an enemy that was smaller, weaker, and seemingly inferior in every way. The commander had underestimated humanity in the worst possible way, and now he was paying the price. The thought of retreat was becoming more and more real in his mind, but even that seemed like a loss. The Empire, for all its power, was crumbling under the relentless pressure of the human forces. Finally, in a moment of clarity, the commander knew that the battle was lost. The alien fleet was falling apart, its once impenetrable defenses shattered. His pride, his confidence, and his belief in the superiority of the Empire had all been shattered in the span of hours. The humans, with their adaptability, intelligence, and unrelenting will, had shown the alien fleet what true power looked like. And now, the Empire's humiliation was complete. The battle had taken a devastating turn, and the commander found himself standing amidst the ruins of what had once been an invincible fleet. The alien ships, which had been designed for dominance, now lay battered and broken, their once sleek forms twisted by the relentless assault of the human ships. The commander's mind was reeling, his thoughts jumbled in disbelief. How had everything gone so wrong? The Empire's finest officers, their most advanced weaponry, had been outmaneuvered and outsmarted by a species they had once dismissed as insignificant. The hum of the command center seemed distant to him as he absorbed the extent of the damage. His ships, designed to instill fear across the galaxy, were now reduced to shattered fragments. It wasn't just their weapons that had failed them, it was their entire strategy. The human ships, though fewer in number and technologically inferior, had demonstrated a level of coordination and precision that the Empire had never encountered. Each human vessel seemed to anticipate their next move, and every attack from the alien fleet was countered before it could land a blow. A cold sweat formed on the commander's brow as he struggled to process the unfolding defeat. The human ships had turned the tide of the battle, not by brute force, but by exploiting every weakness in the alien formation with ruthless precision. The once proud fleet was now in disarray, and the Empire's officers could only watch helplessly as their ships were destroyed one by one. There was no question now. This was no ordinary battle. This was a humiliation of the highest order, and it was unfolding before his eyes. Desperation began to seep into the minds of the alien officers. The commander's voice had once carried weight and authority, but now it faltered with each order he gave. The human forces weren't simply defending their territory. They were dismantling the Empire's entire offensive. With each passing moment, the commander's realization deepened. The humans weren't just fighting to survive. They were fighting to teach a lesson, to send a message that would echo across the galaxy. As the human ships continued to press the attack, it became clear that retreat was the only option left. The alien fleet, in its overwhelming arrogance, had failed to recognize the strength and ingenuity of humanity. They had underestimated the humans, believing them to be an easy target. But now, the commander could see with painful clarity that their assumptions had been wrong. Humanity was not the weak species they had once thought. In fact, they had become something far more dangerous, a force that could not be easily defeated. The order to retreat was given, but the damage was done. The alien fleet scattered, desperate to escape the human forces that were relentlessly pursuing them. The humans did not give chase. They had already made their point. The broadcast from the human fleet echoed across the battlefield, sending a clear message to the aliens. You entered our territory without permission. Now, you will witness the consequences. The words struck the commander like a physical blow. His fleet, his pride, had been crushed, and now the humans were ensuring that the Empire would never forget this defeat. As the alien ships fled into the vastness of space, the commander's mind raced with the implications of their failure. Word of this defeat would spread quickly throughout the galaxy. Other alien species that had once viewed humanity as a curiosity, as an easy target, would now rethink their stance. The humans had proven that they were not a species to be trifled with. The Empire's reputation, once so untouchable, would never be the same again. In the silence that followed the retreat, the commander could only reflect on the bitter truth of their defeat. His fleet had been shattered, their pride shattered, and their superiority exposed as a myth. The human forces, though damaged, had held their ground and delivered a crushing blow to the Empire's sense of invincibility. The commander had failed in his mission, and in doing so, had learned a painful lesson about the dangers of underestimating humanity. The once dominant empire was now forced to confront the reality that Earth and its people had become a force to be reckoned with. As the human fleet returned to its patrol, the scale of their victory began to settle in. The galaxy, once indifferent to the fate of Earth and its people, now had to reckon with the rise of a formidable new power. The alien fleet, which had once moved across the stars with impunity, now retreated in disarray, nursing the wounds of its humiliating defeat. The commander's once confident stance was replaced with the heavy realization that humanity had proven to be far more than a primitive species. The defeat would echo across the stars, a lasting reminder that underestimating Earth and its people was a mistake that would never be forgotten. Across the galaxy, news of the battle spread like wildfire, and the implications of the defeat were immediate and far-reaching. The alien empires that had once dismissed humanity as a curiosity now began to reassess their views. What had once been considered a primitive world with no place in the galactic order was now a rising power, one that had demonstrated incredible resolve and the will to defend its home at all costs. The human fleet had proven itself to be a force to be reckoned with, and the galaxy was forced to take notice. The aliens had learned the hard way that humanity was not just a species to be conquered. The battle was a testament to the human spirit, a display of ingenuity, willpower, and a deep commitment to survival. The Empire's once unstoppable fleet had been outsmarted, outmaneuvered, and ultimately outlasted. The humans had taken what they had and turned it into an advantage, using tactics and strategies that the Empire's officers had never anticipated. It was a victory forged not just through technology, but through the very essence of human determination. As the human ships patrolled the edges of their space, the quiet of their victory settled over them. The battle was over, but the message had been sent. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. It had been forced to recognize that humanity had risen from the fringes of the universe and had become a force capable of shaping the future. No longer would Earth and its people be overlooked or underestimated. The humans had proved that they could hold their ground, and they had shown the galaxy that their resolve was unbreakable. The commander's defeat was not just a loss for the alien fleet. It was a blow to their pride and a reminder that their empire was not as invincible as they had believed. The humans had not only demonstrated military might, but they had shown that strength could come from strategy and resilience. It was a lesson that would resonate for generations. The alien fleets would no longer view Earth as a trivial threat. They would be forced to reconsider their approach, and that shift in perception would have lasting consequences. Humanity's rise in the galactic order had begun, and it was not just about the military victory. The story of the battle would become legend, a tale passed from one star system to the next. The galaxy, once indifferent to Earth's existence, now trembled at the thought of angering such a force. The human fleet, with its tactical brilliance and unwavering courage, had become a symbol of defiance, an inspiration to those oppressed, and a warning to any who dared to threaten Earth's borders. In the years that followed, the reputation of humanity only grew stronger. Their fleet expanded, their influence stretched further, and the galaxy began to take notice. No longer would humans be considered a backward species. They had proven their worth, and the lessons learned from that pivotal battle would shape the future. The galaxy had been forced to recognize that Earth was not a weak outpost to be conquered, but a thriving hub of innovation and strength that could no longer be ignored. The lesson from that battle, however, went beyond just military might. It was about humanity's unyielding spirit, the ability to stand against overwhelming odds, to fight for survival, and to defend their home with everything at their disposal. The Empire's defeat had not been caused by superior technology alone, but by the raw determination of a species that would never bow down. The galaxy had learned a hard truth that day. Humanity was a force to be reckoned with, and anyone who dared challenge them would face more than just weapons and technology. They would face the unwavering will of a people who refused to yield. The defeat of the alien fleet had profound and far-reaching consequences. As the news of humanity's unexpected victory spread across the galaxy, it sent shockwaves through the ranks of alien empires that had once viewed Earth as a weak, insignificant planet. What had been considered a primitive world was now recognized as a force capable of reshaping the balance of power in the universe. The alien species that had once disregarded humanity's advancements as a mere curiosity were now forced to reconsider their assumptions. Earth's victory wasn't just a singular triumph. It represented a turning point in the galactic hierarchy. Many alien empires that had been indifferent to Earth's existence now found themselves looking over their shoulders. What had once been an easy conquest for any invading force had turned into a bitter lesson in underestimation. Humanity had not only demonstrated their military prowess, but had also displayed an incredible level of coordination, ingenuity, and resilience. The galaxy, once indifferent to humanity's fate, now trembled at the thought of angering such a power. The message was clear. Humanity would not tolerate any further attempts to undermine or threaten their existence. The human fleet, though smaller in number and technologically inferior compared to the mighty alien empires, had demonstrated a strength far greater than mere weaponry. The battle had proven that Earth's people possessed an unyielding spirit, one that could not be easily extinguished. It was this spirit, this will to defend their home, that had given the humans the edge in the conflict. While the alien fleets relied on their advanced technology and brute force, the humans had relied on their minds and their sheer determination to outthink and outmaneuver their enemies. For the first time in the history of intergalactic warfare, a species from the fringes of the galaxy had outsmarted a much more technologically advanced foe. The alien empires had prided themselves on their superior weapons and fleets, but the humans had shown that technology alone was not enough. The human forces had used strategy, coordination, and a deep understanding of their own limitations to exploit the weaknesses in the alien fleet's formation. They had fought not just with weapons, but with intellect, and that had made all the difference. In the aftermath of the battle, The ripple effects were immediate. Alien military commanders and strategists were forced to reanalyze their approach to Earth and its people. They could no longer dismiss humanity as an insignificant force. The defeat of such a powerful alien fleet at the hands of a much smaller, less advanced force was a wake-up call to the galaxy. The lesson was clear. Humanity could not be taken lightly. They had proven that they were capable of standing their ground, even against overwhelming odds. As word of the battle spread, humanity's reputation grew. The story of their victory became a symbol of hope and resilience, inspiring oppressed civilizations across the galaxy to rise up and resist their oppressors. The human fleet had shown the galaxy that even the most powerful empires could be challenged and defeated. Earth's people were no longer seen as a weak outpost, but as a rising power, one whose influence would continue to grow in the years to come. In the years following the battle, humanity's influence and power began to expand. They had not only gained the respect of the galaxy, but had earned a place in the galactic community. The defeat of the alien fleet had shattered the myth of the Empire's invincibility, and Earth's people were no longer considered a footnote in the history of the galaxy. The human fleet, with its tactical brilliance and unwavering courage, had become a force to be reckoned with, and its reputation continued to spread far and wide. The battle had not only changed the way humanity was perceived in the galaxy, but had also forever altered the trajectory of Earth's future. It had sparked a new era of intergalactic relations, one in which humanity would no longer be ignored or dismissed. The galaxy had learned a hard lesson that day: never underestimate humanity. Earth's people had proven that they could rise to any challenge, and that they would stop at nothing to protect their home. The consequences of underestimating Earth would be felt for generations to come, and the galaxy would never be the same again. As the years passed, humanity's victory in the battle against the alien fleet became more than just a singular event. It transformed into a legend that spread across the galaxy. The story of Earth's defiance, of how its people had risen up against an overwhelming and seemingly invincible force, captured the imagination of countless star systems. What had once been a small, isolated planet on the fringe of the galaxy was now seen as a symbol of strength and resilience. Humanity's reputation grew not just because of their technological advancements, but because of their unwavering spirit and determination. The ripple effect of the battle was profound. Alien species, who had once viewed humans as insignificant and easy prey, began to reassess their place in the galactic order. The defeat of the alien fleet was a humiliating blow to the pride of those who had underestimated Earth. As the story of the battle spread, it became a cautionary tale, a stark reminder to any who might think to challenge humanity. The once dismissed human forces had shown that even against overwhelming odds, they could not only survive, but thrive. The galaxy would never again see humanity as an easy target. Humanity's rise to prominence in the galaxy was not solely due to their military victories, but because of their ability to adapt and innovate under pressure. The alien fleets, though vastly superior in terms of raw power, had underestimated the human ability to think strategically and respond with incredible precision. This adaptability was something the alien species could not comprehend. Where they relied on overwhelming firepower, humanity relied on cunning, strategy, and coordination. It was these qualities that had given the humans the edge and turned the tide of the battle. The defeat of the alien fleet also marked a shift in the way other species viewed intergalactic warfare. The galaxy had long been dominated by the power of large empires, but humanity's success proved that size and strength were not the only factors that determined victory. The human fleet had shown that even with limited resources, one could achieve great things with the right tactics, a clear objective, and a united front. As more and more species came to realize this, Earth's influence began to expand, and humanity was no longer a mere player in galactic politics. They were becoming a major force to be reckoned with. In the aftermath of the battle, humanity's allies and potential allies began to emerge from the shadows. The once quiet corners of the galaxy, where oppressed species lived under the thumb of more powerful empires, now looked to Earth as a beacon of hope. The human fleet had proven that it was not just a military power, but a symbol of resistance and defiance against tyranny. This inspired many to take up arms and fight for their own freedom, knowing that Earth would stand beside them. The alliances that formed in the wake of the battle would play a crucial role in the years to come. However, Earth's rise also came with challenges. The alien empires that had once scorned humanity now sought to contain the threat they posed. The defeat had shaken the galaxy's power structure, and many of the old empires began to reassert their dominance, trying to suppress the growing influence of Earth. Tensions began to rise as factions within the galaxy questioned how to deal with the new power on the block. Humanity had become a symbol of resistance and revolution, and this made them both a target and a potential catalyst for change. As Earth's power grew, so did its responsibilities. The human fleet had shown that they were capable of defeating overwhelming odds, but now the galaxy looked to Earth not just as a military power, but as a potential leader. The challenge was no longer about survival. It was about how to navigate the complex political and social dynamics of a galaxy that was now forced to reckon with their existence. Earth's role in galactic politics would be shaped by the lessons of the battle, where military might was important, but strategic alliances, diplomacy, and understanding would also play a critical role. Despite the challenges, humanity's future looked brighter than ever. The galaxy, once indifferent to Earth's fate, now saw it as a rising power. The humans had proven that they could stand up to the most formidable forces in the universe and emerge victorious. They had shown that even in the face of overwhelming odds, they could adapt, overcome, and persevere. As the years went on, Earth's influence would only continue to grow, and the galaxy would have to face the undeniable truth that humanity had earned its place at the table. The mistakes of underestimating Earth had been costly, and the galaxy would never forget the price of that mistake.